Hey, peace, peace, peace. Welcome to another episode of the Mixed Metals Podcast. I'm your host, Quan, aka Hard to Find. I come to you after a dreadful weekend for me. Um, we'll get right into it. First off, the Alabama loss. Upset of upsets, honestly. So I think the final score was 35-40. Vanderbilt. At Vanderbilt. And it's what people call a trap game, where after the high emotions of beating a number two Georgia team, you get another SEC game where everybody think you're supposed to win. Is like you basically looking on to the next opponent, which in this case is South Carolina, this upcoming weekend. But it's one of those situations where you spend so much of your energy, so many emotions on that kind of win, that it gives you room for such a for a huge letdown the following week. And I kind of think I'm of the mindset that whoever would have won, if the game had gone that same way but Georgia would have won, um I think they would have lost to Auburn this week, and I think Alabama would have beat Vanderbilt this week. But how the cards were dealt, it's just that high of a like that high octane type of game. A Georgia versus Alabama game is going to be a classic. 9 times out of 10. You may get some blowouts here and there, but most likely you in for a classic. And that was, so far the best game of the season. Um, Alabama started to let them come back in the second half, and it became much more of a game than maybe I was comfortable with. Um, but the defense kind of became laxed, and it's been the case since halftime of that game, going into the Vanderbilt game, where you can kind of do whatever you want on his defense. And that's not good. That's not the Alabama standard. That's not uh what we as fans are used to. Um, but it is Kalen DeBoer's official welcome to the SEC, welcome to Alabama. Um, that's the end of the honeymoon. The honeymoon ended Saturday night. Um, so moving forward, it's not about how it. Keep in mind that Nick Saban lost his first season with Alabama to Louisiana Monroe. I know everybody, that's familiar with the Alabama program is familiar with that loss. Um, but that loss didn't define, who Nick Saban was. Um, and Alabama never lost a game like that again. Uh, I will say, in my entire lifetime, that was the first time that Vanderbilt has beaten Alabama. Um, Not a first that I was looking forward to seeing, but you live and you learn. Um, I think that it comes down to wins and lessons. You can't necessarily take everything. Although a loss on the schedule, on the record books, um, what did you learn from that? You gotta figure out how to pick up the pieces and move forward. And I think that that's the challenge. Moving ahead, I think that after the loss last season to Texas, the Alabama team was much, much different. Like from that moment forward, and this is about where we are. Um, in this season, I think maybe a couple games ahead of that, but uh, I think that this is the part where Alabama does like a dramatic turnaround. I think that the defense tightens up. I think that more adjustments will obviously be made. Um, they have to be, in order to want to compete in the SEC. Because as it is currently, we got Texas A&M 3-0 in the SEC after beating Missouri this past weekend. Um, we have Georgia 2-1 in the SEC. We have Arkansas 2-1 in the SEC. Tennessee after an upset loss as well. Is in the same spot as us, 1-1 in the SEC, and there are no divisions anymore. So that means something. Vanderbilt is now 1-1 in the SEC, so they're tied with us, and they have the head-to-head with Alabama. Auburn 0-3, so not too concerned about Auburn at the moment. But then again, Missouri 1-1 in the SEC. Uh, Ole Miss 1-1 in the SEC. South Carolina 1-2 in the SEC. But I think that they're still in it with how chaotic the SEC has been this season. Um, you can't count South Carolina out. And if they were to win, God forbid, if they were to win this weekend against Alabama, they're right back in the thick of it. Um, but hopefully we don't have to see that. Uh, but yeah, some a very chaotic weekend is one of those ones where you know usually I will say that when Alabama loses is chaotic for the whole rankings. Like somebody else is gonna lose, somebody else is gonna get upset. It's gonna be another lopsided loss here and there, and uh like Miami coming back on California after being down 25. One of those, or uh Washington beating Michigan, number 10 Michigan. Minnesota beating the number 11 USC. Minnesota being 3-3 now. Um, so it's just one of those chaotic weekends, but hopefully we can move forward, put this behind us. Um, and I say us as fans, and I hate when people say you're not playing and like that kind of thing, because the thing is that the sport would be nothing without the fans. Like if it wasn't for fans of said sports, then it would just be people running around tackling each other and stuff like that. Like it wouldn't. I don't know. Sports ain't nothing without fans, in my opinion. Um. So yeah, I think that Kalen DeBoer is a good coach for this situation. I think that he um has to understand now the weight of the position of being a head coach of such a prestigious program in college football, and I think that he will be able to learn from it, move forward, be angry about this one, but don't dwell on it. Uh, we're still Alabama's still 4-1. Um, everything that every goal that I'm sure they set is still in front of them. They are still able to get it. They were able to get it with or without an undefeated record. Um, I think the 12 team playoff allows for a 1 to 2 loss team. So giving some leeway there. Uh, so I think that Alabama will be okay. I think they right the ship this weekend. I think that uh, historically speaking, is no team like an angry Alabama team. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. The spread scares me a little bit because it's just about the same as it was against Vanderbilt, but this is at home. Um, and they have so far since naming it the Nick Saban field, it has been defended pretty well. Moving on to the other disappointment of the weekend, my 49ers lost to the lowly Cardinals. And I don't want to call them lowly. I mean, they're an NFL team, but at the end of the day, you know, um, I think that it's just is such an unfortunate loss because it's something that didn't have to happen. Jake Moody, in my opinion, shouldn't have gotten in the way of that runner. And that's how he got injured, and that hamstrung the whole entire team. Um, the 49ers had to use the punter to kick a field goal, and with that, they were able to make the one field goal, but don't necessarily know the distance that the punter can kick a field goal. So now they kind of like they had to go for a 4th and 23, which is not ideal in any situation unless it's like game on the line type deal. So very unfortunate. Very unfortunate loss. The 49ers are now 0-2 in the division, which is rough. with losses to the Rams, who have a 1-4 record, the only win coming against the 49ers, and the Cardinals, who have a 2-3 record. One of their two wins coming against 49ers. Elsewhere in the NFL, um, Chiefs are playing the Saints right now. They are on the goal line. They're at the 5 yard line, first and goal. Um, Buccaneers lost to the Falcons last Thursday. Uh, Vikings beat the Jets yesterday morning. Bears beat the Panthers 36-10. Ravens and the Bengals went down to the wire. Went to overtime actually. Ravens ended up coming away with that one 41-38. Dolphins in an ugly game, 15-10 over the Patriots. The Browns, who are just lost right now, 34-13 against the Commanders. Jaguars got the first win of the season against the Colts, 34-37. Texans beat the Bills, 23-20. I think the Texans are kind of figuring it out now. Broncos beat the Raiders. Very interesting what happened between on the sideline between Bo Nix and Sean Payton. They had a little uh argument, you could say. And Bo Nix didn't back down. And I don't know if it's like I don't know what like caused him to not back down. Like what, because you would think that, him being a rookie and him trying to learn the system and all of that, like that he would kind of back away and just, take whatever criticism was coming his way. But he fought back. Not physically, of course, but verbally. And I like that in a player. I think that the coach respects that, and I think that that's the kind of quarterback you want moving forward. Um, Packers beat the Rams in Jordan Love's first win of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Giants beat the Seahawks, which was shocking to me. And the Cowboys beat the Steelers last night in a rain delayed game. I think the Cowboys are so average. I think that uh, they don't tend to turn it on until late in the game, or like when the game is either out of reach or extremely close. Um, Actually, I take that back. I think that they don't really play great football until the game what what can be seen as out of reach. Other than that, I think they just play mediocre football. They play like just regular. They are a very regular team. Um, and I think that this is the last year that we see Mike McCarthy in Dallas. Um, Very cool moment was probably amongst the cooler moments that I'll probably ever see in sports, that we will probably ever see in sports, was LeBron and Bronny sharing the court together. Um, I mean, it's unbelievable that there's so much that has to happen in order for a basketball player to be able to play with their offspring. And all of those things fell in place in order for LeBron, who I think is the greatest of all time, to be able to play with his son. Um, and it's not the official game yet, of course, but I mean, regardless, they were both in Lakers jerseys, and like in a game that was being recorded, in a game that was being officiated, in a game that was, where 5-on-5. So, I mean, until we get to see it in the regular season, that was just such a excellent moment to just be able to witness. And we may never see anything like that again. Just thinking, because not a lot of players make it to their 20th season, let alone their 22nd season or 23rd season. So, I just think is incredible. And is another one of those moments that we need to appreciate while we can, because we won't have this moment forever. Um, in playoff baseball, at the moment, the Yankees lead the series 1-0. They are tied in the bottom of the third at 0. Tigers beat the Guardians. That series is tied 1-1. That score was 3-0. Let's see some other scores. I think that is it for today. As far as scores, Phillies and the Mets play tomorrow. That series is tied 1-1. The Dodgers and the Padres in the contentious series is tied 1-1. They play tomorrow at 9:08. Um, this weekend, the big game of the weekend for college is Oregon and Ohio State. I'm pulling for Ohio State. That is another one of my teams. Which reminds me to do my power rankings of my team since Alabama lost. Got to move them down. So for me right now, my I have five teams that I root for. Um, and of those teams, the power rankings go as follows for me: Texas, Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia Tech. Um, I think that where we are right now in the schedule, this is kind of a turning point because we got the Red River rivalry this weekend. Um, I usually don't watch that game because I like both teams. But this is a turning point, especially with them both being in the SEC right now. This could be the second SEC loss for Oklahoma or the first SEC loss for Texas. That game is usually, either way. Uh, and I think that we are probably about to see some interesting shifts in the SEC moving beyond this weekend. Because if Texas is able to get it done, then they stand at 2-0 in the SEC. Um, Oklahoma would be, if I'm not mistaken, 1-2, and that would place them at a huge disadvantage because Texas plays Georgia this season. They play uh do they play Ole Miss? Very sorry for this. Okay. So they play Oklahoma this week. They play Georgia next week. Both of those games are, well, the Oklahoma game is a neutral site always, and then the Georgia game is a home game for Texas. They play at Vanderbilt, which is tricky. Trust me. Um, Florida, which I'm not too concerned about. Florida did get a much needed win this past weekend. They play at Arkansas, which can be tricky as well. Uh, they play Kentucky at home, and then they play at Texas A&M for the first time in years. Um, so I mean, Texas has got the whole SEC's got like this is the toughest schedule the SEC collectively has had that I can remember. Um, the only other time was the year that the COVID year where it was all SEC teams, like no other, like no cupcake games, none of that. It was just straight SEC teams, and it was a shorter schedule. Alabama winning that national championship, of course. Uh in other news, I think Rome Streets put out an album with Derringer this past weekend. And it's so far so good. I'm enjoying that a lot. Uh Nothing else musically recently that I believe the last time I was here I spoke on Doechii and her album being my rap album of the year so far, and nothing has changed on that. It's still my rap album of the year. Um I think that she's untouchable right now. There is like that is as close to a flawless debut album that you can make, but she's calling it a mixtape, so I'll refer to it as a mixtape. That's how it gets categorized is my rap album of the year, but it's a great mixtape. It's a great body of work. Um, and to me, the best body of work so far this year. Um, Rest in peace to Cissy Houston, the mother of Whitney Houston. She passed away at 91. If I'm not mistaken, there a couple weeks ago, actually. Let me make sure I'm not. Okay. So maybe not. There was a post going around saying rest in peace to Cicely Tyson, which Cicely Tyson had passed years ago. So I don't know what that was about, but and I was thinking that maybe they got these confused and we just got the confirmation of this, but no, it says that she passed away this morning at 91 years old, Sissy Houston. So rest in peace, safe travels. I'm sure that you and Whitney get to be with each other again. Um, and and other like pop culture news, I guess. Uh, Ye seems to be headed for his second divorce, which is unfortunate. I just I can only pray for Ye. I mean, what he has meant to me as far as like music and just artistry. I hate to see it go the way that it has gone um so far. And I hope that he's able to get the help that he needs and just get back on track. Even if it's not for the sake of the music, I just hope that Ye is able to be okay. Um Other than that, I've been playing the same games. I've been playing college football still. I finally got 2K. Um I haven't really played it yet. I guess I'm like I'll probably ramp up here closer to the season starting. Uh but college football has had my attention, has had me in the chokehold. Uh I'm gonna get to Astrobot pretty soon. Um Other than that, I think that's about it for today. So as always, I pray that you are well. I pray that you continue to be well. And until next time, peace.